I always believed my dad abandoned me. It was one of those facts of life that shaped my entire existence. My mother told me the story 100 times. I was just a baby when he left us. No calls, no letters, no money. Just disappeared. He didn't want a family, she would say. You were better off without him. And I believed her. How could I not? I grew up watching my friends' dads pick them up from school, cheering at soccer games, walking them down aisles at school events. I had none of that. Every Father's Day felt like a cruel joke. Every school project about Dad, an exercise in fiction. Mom worked hard, no doubt. She was a nurse, and her hours were long and exhausting. But she gave me everything, except the truth. As a teenager, I used to imagine what I would say to my father if I ever met him. Why did you leave us? Do you even care that I exist? Sometimes, the words came out in angry tears when I was alone in my room. Other times, they stayed locked in my throat like thorns. By the time I turned 23, I had made peace with the fact that I'd never know him. He was just a ghost, a shadow with no voice. Then, my mother died. It was sudden. A car accident. No goodbyes, just silence. The kind of silence that settles into your bones and doesn't leave. After the funeral, I went back to her house to start sorting through her things. I didn't know what I was looking for. Maybe something to hold on to. Maybe closure. That's when I found it. In the attic, tucked behind an old suitcase, was a wooden box wrapped in a faded red ribbon. It was dusty, locked, and hidden so well I almost missed it. The key was taped under the lid. Inside were letters, dozens of them, all addressed to me. From my father. I didn't open the letters right away. My hands were shaking. The room felt colder, like the air had thickened. I sat on the attic floor, just staring at the envelopes, some yellowed with age, others newer. They were dated from the year I was born, all the way until 2 years ago. All addressed to me, all unread. My name was written in different styles of handwriting, as if my father had aged with each note, his pen trembling more with time. The first one started with, "To my little girl, in case you ever get to read this." He told me he was there the day I was born, that he held me, even cried. He said he never wanted to leave, but my mother made it impossible to stay. She accused him of things he didn't do. She filed a restraining order. She told everyone he was dangerous. He wrote, "I tried everything. I went to court, I hired lawyers, but I didn't have money, and no one believes the man when the woman paints a monster." Letter after letter, he described how he would drive by my school just to see me from a distance. On my 6th birthday, he left a small teddy bear at our doorstep, only to find it in the trash the next day. When I was 10, he sent me a necklace. It came back, unopened. He never stopped trying. My mother never told me any of this. Some letters were heartbreaking. I wonder if you think of me, if you hate me, if you even know I exist. Others were just desperate. Please, let me see her. Just once. I read until I couldn't breathe, until tears blurred the ink, until I started questioning everything I thought I knew. Why would she do this? Why would she lie? That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing my mother's voice saying, "He didn't want you." And now my father's voice whispering, "I never stopped loving you." Two voices. Two sides. And suddenly, nothing felt real anymore. The next morning, I went back into the attic. There was more in the box. Not just letters, but photos, court documents, certified mail receipts. He really did go to court. He really did fight for me. There were pictures of us in the hospital. He had held me, like he said. There was even a photo of him standing outside our old apartment building, holding a sign that said, "Happy 8th birthday." He had been there. But that wasn't the worst part. At the bottom of the box was a letter, not addressed to me. It was a draft, never sent, written in my mother's handwriting. I recognized it instantly. It started cold. "If you ever try to contact her again, I will destroy you." And then it turned cruel. "You're not her father. You never were. And if you push me, I will tell her the truth about everything, including how you let me take the blame. That last line hit me like a train. Take the blame? What blame? What was she hiding? My world had already cracked. But now, it was shattering. There was more to this than lies and rejection. There was a secret buried under all the silence. I needed to find my father. I needed answers, not just about why he disappeared, but why my mother worked so hard to erase him. I searched for days, social media, online records, old addresses from the envelopes. Finally, I found something. A phone number linked to his name on an old website for veterans. My hands trembled as I dialed. 1 ring, 2 rings, then a voice. Older, tired, careful. Hello? I froze. I had imagined this moment my entire life, and now I didn't know what to say. I whispered, "Is this David Foster?" A long silence. Then, "Who's asking?" I took a deep breath. "My name is Emily. I think you're my father." Another pause. I could hear the sound of his breathing, then a soft, almost broken reply. Emily? It was like the name didn't fit in his mouth anymore. Like he'd practiced it in his head for years, but never got to say it out loud. We talked for 3 hours. He told me everything. How he met my mother in college. How they were madly in love, but also wildly unstable together. Fights, jealousy, infidelity. Then she got pregnant. She told him the baby might not be his. But when I was born, he said he knew I was his daughter. He said he tried to build a life with us. But one day, she left. Took me. Moved to another city without a word. He tried to follow. She accused him of stalking, even threatened to call the police. He thought if he stayed quiet, she would come around. She never did. He said, "I didn't want to make your life worse by dragging you into court battles and drama. I thought, maybe if I loved you from a distance, it would be enough." It wasn't. Not for him. Not for me. I told him about the letters, about the photos, about the note she never sent. When I mentioned the line, "You let me take the blame," he went silent. I heard a chair creak, like he had sat down slowly. "She never told you, did she?" "Told me what?" He let out a sigh that sounded like it came from 20 years ago. "There was an affair. Not mine. Hers." My throat tightened. "She got involved with someone else while we were together. When she found out she was pregnant, she wasn't sure whose it was. But when you were born, I knew. You looked just like my mother." I was quiet. He continued. "But she didn't want to risk it. She told me that if I ever revealed the truth, she'd ruin me. I had been arrested once before for a stupid college protest. She said she'd use it. She said no one would believe me. Then he said something that broke me. I never stopped being your dad. But she made me invisible. I didn't know what to say. All those years, every Father's Day, every time I cried because he wasn't there, every angry word I wrote in my diary about him, it had all been based on a lie. Or worse. A carefully constructed half-truth. He wasn't perfect. He admitted it. But he had tried. Again and again. And she had buried him beneath her version of the story. I asked if I could meet him. He hesitated. "You sure you want that?" I didn't answer right away. Part of me still felt like that angry little girl, holding on to years of resentment like armor. Another part, the one who read every one of his letters with tears, just wanted to hug him. Just once. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop halfway between our cities. When I saw him, I knew instantly. He looked just like me. Same eyes, same eyebrows, even the same nervous smile. We sat and talked for 5 hours. He brought the original copy of the hospital photo. He told me how he had whispered, "I love you," into my tiny ears before they wheeled me out of the room. He told me how he used to sit outside my school plays in his car, afraid to go in, but desperate to see me. He told me that every year on my birthday he lit a candle. And then he apologized. Not for leaving, but for letting her win. For not fighting harder. For thinking distance was safer than truth. I forgave him. Not all at once. Not completely. But enough to let the healing begin. Later, I stood at my mother's grave. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just whispered, "I wish you had trusted me with the truth." Because in the end, she didn't just take my father from me. She took choice. She took clarity. She made me live in someone else's version of reality. But now, I know my story. The real story. And that voice I hated for so long, it turns out it was never his. It was hers, wearing his name like a mask. Now, I get to write my own ending. And it starts with this. Dear Dad, I'm here. And I'm ready to know you.